Hey, what it do? Welcome back to the Bad Samaritan Podcast. It is your boy Chava. On the line here, I got Sam. Sam, what it do?
We in the Super Bowl, baby!
Super Bowl, baby! Dang. This is crazy,
I'm
bro.
Super Bowl Rick!
Oh my God. Yeah, today's podcast we gotta talk about that crazy game on Sunday. Fortunately, we were lucky enough to go and tailgate and that whole thing. And Sam, how were you feeling up coming to that game that morning? How were you feeling?
Man, honestly, I'll be honest, man. I was like, man, maybe I should watch this shit at home. I just wasn't like, I wasn't ready. Too many nerves, man. I went to bed like at 2 a.m. the night before
Yeah, dude.
because it's like, on paper, like, we're a really good team, but Kyle hasn't really been playing any good games, I think, since I can't even think before the Ravens lost who even played before the Ravens. But I feel like man, I wish we hadn't lost those podcasts, the lost tapes. I mean, last time I was out in New York, we did a couple podcasts where we went into that losing streak.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't feel like Kyle ever really addressed any of the things we complained about.
Nope.
I feel like they just really execute their game plan like in the last two games, we basically won because they execute the game plan that he implemented. And the game plan is just to overcome those deficiencies, and that's just is what it is. But yeah, man, I was like, man, I wasn't feeling great coming into this game. It was nerve-wracking. These tickets ain't cheap.
No,
It was
they was not
it was like, man, like honestly, like when we played the Packers in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago, that vibe, I think I was more confident for
way
some
more.
reason.
Yeah, we were running the
And
ball. That's
and
why.
this one, it's like having a number one offense. It just hits different, man. And
It was
it just
doubt
feels
creeping in
less.
for sure.
It feels less reliable. I feel like, especially how we've been starting really slow in the first half. But yeah, I'll say that I wasn't feeling good coming into this weekend.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that well either. I think I think our decision to even attend this game was like on a whim. Our decision to tailgate this game was kind of on a whim, and we were like, you know what, we're just gonna do it because we out here and we got to do it for the Bay. But I went to sleep that day kind of nervous. I woke up like some butterflies. I was like, man, are we ready? We're gonna get ran on. Like Kyle sucks at calling in the playoffs. Like is this team really it? And I gotta say, like I agree with you. I'm not really confident in this team as I was in that Packers championship team. Which is crazy to say. What was that, like 4 years ago? That's wild. But
Yeah, man. It's like pretty much before COVID.
yeah, our lives are what our lives could have been before that. But yeah,
The Niners lost and the world shut down.
the world shut down. So I think this is a good sign for Roger Goodell and the script writers to be like, hey, like we know, I don't think we want a little repeat of what happened, just because I don't think the world, or I don't even think the Bay Area can take it right now. So I think the odds are in our favor with the script writers. Maybe not, but hopefully so. But
The only thing with the script writers that I feel is like they got to give the the Kansas City Chiefs, like a nemesis. You know, I think they've been having such too good of a run, and having them lose to the Niners after they beat us, and having them preventing them from going back to back, I think that'd be good for storytelling and between now and whenever the AFC decides to wake up, it gives Mahomes some adversity because he's plowing through the league right now.
Yeah, it's scary, but enough talking about the Chiefs right now. I think we still got to talk about this Lions game, bro. Wow. Okay, so typical
I don't
fashion.
want to talk about it, bro. It hurt my feelings, bro. That game was tough. Took years off my life.
Hopefully in the video, you guys, I'll make like a little slideshow, and I'll put a bunch of the pictures of us going through it because man, that first half. So we're tailgating. It's a cool vibe. Niner fans are like super nice to these Lions fans. Bro, these Lions fans were cheering for Jared Goff, bro. They were okay.
Bro, they were cheering for him.
So first of all,
Like
Lions country is
legit,
lit.
Jared Goff, Jared
Yes,
Goff.
bro.
Like they were cheering for him,
They were
bro. Like they
cheering for
love
him
that man.
in the tailgate, bro. And
That kind of,
I was,
yeah, like Jared. I was like,
what?
wait, we're talking about the same Jared Goff? Like what?
Bay Area legend Jared Goff, bro.
They love that fool.
They love that fool.
That was crazy to me.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a cool guy, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard. I honestly, I've never been to a game against the Lions or experienced Lion fans like that. But I wasn't feeling like they were supporting Matt Stafford in this way, which is kind of funny. But I guess they got farther with Jared Goff than they have with Matt. But yeah, at the tailgate, Lion.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I don't think it was. I think there's a similar issue there where, incompetent teams or like teams in general, once they get those talented quarterbacks, they rely so heavily on their like talent and their skill to just like superhero them into like success. And some people can handle it and some people can't. And I don't think Matt Stafford was the type of guy to just take that poopy Lions team, to the distance. Even though now, like I feel like they got a better organizations going on. Like I think they just got that new owner. That lady's like really about winning and stuff. So their culture is like it's coming around. And I have no issues with Lion fans. We were talking to a bunch, and I was like, like I hope nobody in the Bay Area really cares about y'all. Shout out to y'all for having like like we don't like you guys kind of just fell here, and I was like, you know what? I have no quarrels with you guys. I was looking for a good game, and they were being kind of kind, and they're like, wow, you guys are kind of nice. I was like,
nah, they were trying to let us off. They were trying to like let us off easy, bro. Like it was for sure like tongue in cheek. Like, well, first of all, for context, the owner, whose name is Martha Firestone Ford.
Yes.
Like this woman is like American royalty. She's been the owner there since 2014.
There you go.
So I think I will say like they've been there for a bit. I think there's an interesting conversation there about the talented quarterback over a more talented roster.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best balance of what you're seeing is I think what the Chiefs have right now, where they're like quote unquote like in a rebuild. Like they don't really have any receivers. Kelsey is like I would say a little past his prime, or like maybe right at the end, or a little bit past the peak of it.
Yeah, he is.
But Mahomes is in his peak,
Yeah.
And they still have like a really great defense. And so like, hey, if we can limit them and keep teams from scoring, 20 points, our offense can score more than 20 points because we have a great quarterback, and that's how we're going to go about it. I mean, that's basically what Kyle was trying to do in 2019, but his quarterback couldn't execute his game plan, right? So I think that game plan makes sense because you're saying, hey, look, I'm as a head coach, play caller, I'm talented enough to scheme people open that even lower level talent can, put numbers up, and that'll be cheaper.
Yeah. Well,
so I think that's what makes this Chiefs team really dangerous is that they've, Andy's been through this before, so that's kind of how he has them ready to play.
mm-hmm.
And I think that's what, when the Lions had Matt Stafford and they basically had two like top players in Calvin Johnson and Stafford himself, they didn't really actually have like a system or a coach to really like do well. I think they had Jim Caldwell, which may have been their best year. I'd have to look that up. But I mean, like they were having some really tough seasons. And I think what happens with like so-so coaches that have superstar players is that they kind of just rely on them rather than actually like, doing their job and coaching and scheming things open.
Yep.
So it's an interesting paradox. I think Kyle's almost done like Kyle's an interesting thing here where like his roster and his team is super stacked, and he's treating his quarterback like the way he treats his running backs in a way. Like he doesn't even care who's back there.
No, he's just
and I think that's his detriment because it's like, and I think that's why he hasn't won any rings, because when he had the best shot, I think the best quarterback Kyle's ever really had was probably Matt Ryan.
Yeah, MVP Matt Ryan.
When he was offensive coordinator. Yeah. And I would say that, he had his best shot, and then depending on whoever was calling the plays there, the decision to not run it or the offense's inability to execute the run is literally the same reason why he ends up losing the Super Bowl when he's a head coach in 2019. So it's a It's very interesting problems, but ultimately it comes down to like having the superstar quarterback to bail you out of things. And I think what's been crazy about this playoff season is that both games, the Packers and the Lions, um, Kyle's play calling or the execution of it is terrible,
But
and it's actually Brock Purdy that bails him out of it. And I
yes,
think that's something that Jimmy G and previous quarterbacks weren't doing. And I would
yes,
even include Matt Ryan in that because I would say if you're Matt Ryan and you're the MVP of the league, then you should have been able to audible or change whatever the play call you thought should have been because that's what MVPs and superstar quarterbacks do,
completely
you know?
agreed. I think of Matt Ryan. Talking about Matt Ryan, MVP Matt Ryan. He was great, and I do think he's probably the best quarterback that Kyle ever coached for. To me, Matt Ryan and Lamar Jackson this season have a similar way of playing out things where you're the MVP and you're the guy, you're franchise quarterback. You should be having that balance of overcoming your coaching and then executing the plays that are given to you. And I think that's what Mahomes is really special. And I'm even going to give it to Brock Purdy. Mahomes and Brock, even though Brock Purdy does sometimes fall short to the coaching, when the game's on the line, the both of them can take the game into their hands and try to win and execute very well. I think you're right about the Chiefs this year, where they're kind of like, all right, we're kind of rebuilding. Mahomes is kind of playing more of a system quarterback type of thing, where he's no longer doing those Superman flying throws where he's parallel with the ground and stuff. He's snapping the ball, getting the ball out less than 2 seconds, getting his guys in space and running the ball well and just doing the thing. But when the guys aren't there, or Andy can't scheme up guys, or guys are dropping balls, this guy's gonna scramble, get the first down, move the chains, and keep it going. And that's exactly what I saw from Brock Purdy in this game, where games on the line, everybody's blanketed because that Lions defense is pretty good, and Kyle's
Yeah.
scheme or his play calling is just so bad, and you're like, wow, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, and then Brock Purdy out of nowhere just jukes Aiden Hutchinson, takes the corner on Anzalone, gets a first down, and then we're in scoring range, and I'm like, oh, this guy, if this game doesn't prove that Brock Purdy isn't a game changer, or he isn't that guy, everybody who's saying that stuff is just wrong. We don't win without that scramble. We don't win without the momentum. And yeah, there's some luck that goes along with it, like that crazy IU catch where he caught it off the guy's face and he went in. But everybody forgets that Tom Brady and all these other quarterbacks also had some crazy luck there. And luck, what is it fortune favors the prepared and stuff. This team is far more seasoned, even though Brock Purdy's in his second year. He feels like a vet. He's executing the plays. Even he's overcoming Kyle Shanahan's coaching. And I think that after this season, if successfully we do get this Lombardi, that Brock Purdy becomes the best quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has ever coached.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think two things. One thing, as you were talking about, that I thought about is we're so lucky that the Chiefs didn't get Puka Nacua
Yeah,
because
yeah,
because if they can draft a receiver, it's over.
yeah,
That was the one thing that was holding the Chiefs back, and they've overcome it.
yeah.
They basically just benched what's his name, Kadarius Tooney, who was dropping all those balls, and they're like, hey, when we bench you, we go to Super Bowls. So all we really need is for someone to not drop the balls that Mahomes sends them, and we'll win games.
And Rashee Rice
And
is doing that.
yep, exactly. And with Brock, it's I don't know what's happening. I need to go back and watch this game more intensely. I don't know how. It's just hard to understand because I'm there and watching this game in person, and we're basically done. We are not. We're being. I think we go 3-0 at the beginning of the second half. Nothing in the first half really worked. I think we scored 3 points or whatever, and that's it's not acceptable. It's crazy to me that
It's unacceptable.
it's just well, I mean, you're the number. I'm just saying if you're the number one offense, it's unacceptable. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
I was trying to think about previous seasons when our offense was not rated as highly,
Mm-hmm.
and where we were, more
Jimmy
dependent on
Garoppolo.
having to run to run the game. And I was like,
Jimmy
was Jimmy
Garoppolo threw
Garoppolo
8
ever shut
passes.
out?
Nope, I don't think so.
But was Jimmy Garoppolo ever shut out in the first half? I was trying to think of things like that, and I was like, I don't remember him being shut out in the first half. Like, I feel like we would always be able to move the ball on the ground or something. And this team's inability to do that has been really interesting. And I think to what you're saying about Brock being the best quarterback that Kyle's ever had, it's crazy to me how, like, bro, like that game, it just all of a sudden caught fire, and we went from we were
Down 17.
negotiating the fact that we were going to lose this NFC Championship game. We were negotiating. We all were in the stadium. It was
I
quiet.
apologized to my
We're
brother that we took him there.
we were like, man, man, we're really gonna have to hold this L, in this stadium with all these people. I really spent dang near $3,000 to be here, and then all of a sudden, man, like the team just starts moving, and like I saw it. I was like, I remember calling it. I was like, he's not gonna kick. He's gonna go for it on fourth. Like, get ready for it. And the defense was ready for it, and they stop them.
Yeah.
And they get the ball back, and I'm like, we're gonna score, and they score. And then I was like, we're gonna get the ball back, and they make Gibbs fumble. What happened to the stats yet? Hashtag sassy stats. I don't think that kid fumbled all season, bro.
No, he didn't.
And he fumbles in the most critical moment of the game.
But I remember looking
Gibson,
over
who
to your
basically
face and you're crying, like your eyes welt up, and like you're like you're so emotional that like the ball was
because
on
I
the ground.
immediately believed. Immediately, I was like,
oh, we're winning. We're
I
back.
was like, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going to the Super Bowl. Like, we hadn't even tied the game yet.
No, dude,
And
we
I
were still down
instantly
like 14.
believed. You remember, right? I was like, we're going back! We're going back!
Yeah, man.
And I'm pumping my arms in the air, and I'm like, we're going back! And the Lions fans next to me were just quiet.
Bro.
And I'm like, we're going back!
Yeah,
I was like, we're going back! We're going back to the Super Bowl!
And we're down 14,
back.
bro. We're down 2.
But I knew... but I just, like... I don't know what to say. Like, the same feeling I had when when Robbie Gould was gonna kick that field goal against the Packers, and I was like, he's gonna make it.
Yeah.
And we're going to the next round.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going back to Super Bowl, and then and we did.
We did.
And I was like, we just did. And like even when the Lions like scored that touchdown towards the end, right, to bring them within 3. I was like,
no
it's
Lions
too late
fans
for them.
cheered. Nobody cheered.
Nobody cheered.
Nobody
cheered.
It was quiet.
Everyone knew they were done.
Yeah.
Nobody had any belief that they were going to. We were still cheering from our last score.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about them at all.
Yeah. It was a nice catch too. It was a fire touchdown. I was like, wow.
It was a great drive. It was a great drive for them.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable from our defense to even give that up. Like if we do that to the Chiefs, we're losing that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I'm not confident about the Super Bowl, because this defense is just terrible. It's a terribly coached defense. It doesn't know. I don't know if it's out of position. I don't know if the concepts are broken. But it's like,
I think the scheme doesn't match.
It's what's holding us back.
Yeah, I think what's wrong with the defense is that we honestly have the wrong guy, defensive coordinator. Just straight up, this guy, like, Steve Wilkes, I'm not saying that he's trash, because I believe his philosophy and his ideas are correct. But it's not correct for the 49ers team and the 49ers defense. You can't be a DB focused guy with Ambry Thomas and Samuel Womack and Isaiah Oliver. Like those you can't depend on those type of guys. And you have a rookie back there who's also making some mistakes. Even though he's playing well, he's making some mistakes. And honestly, all of them are all poorly coached. And so I think that our defense, it's probably the best defense that personnel-wise, the best defense we're ever going to have in franchise history. And this guy's just
I don't know, bro. Like,
there's Hall of Famers on this defense.
I don't even know.
There's Hall of Famers on this defense already.
Yeah, but they're not playing like it.
No. Like, okay, on record, in 40 years or 50 years, when these guys are, like, old and, like, there's, like, first ballot Hall of Famers or whatever.
Saying.
They're
Like,
talent-wise,
yeah.
All these players were on the 49ers in 2023. I'm like, wow, that defense was butt. That's exactly what's going to happen because these players are great, and I can see it. You know, I know Chase Youngs isn't this bad, and he's playing horrible. I know Nick Bosa is not supposed to be this bad, and he's playing horrible. Or Fred, or any of these other guys. I'm like, all right, something bigger is afoot. But I think you're right. It's unacceptable that they let themselves get ran on that whole first half, and they still let themselves get ran on, and then they just let the easy touchdown at the end. Thank God that Dan Campbell is an unexperienced coach, and he called his own timeout. In that, I think it was the fourth quarter or in the last touchdown. Once when he ran it in with Gabe Zert and he got stuffed, he called his own timeout, stopped the clock, and it wasted his timeout that he could have had. You know, if let's say he doesn't call out a timeout, we get the onside still. There's 3 timeouts, and they have a potential to get the ball back still. So he just kind of shot himself in the own foot, and thank God that George Kittle redeemed himself and got the onside.
It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. He really just choked the game. That Lions team was going to the Super Bowl, and they seized defeat from the jaws of victory.
I think they're just a young team.
Shout out,
I think that's what a
I
young
guess,
team
bro,
does.
but like,
dude, Josh Reynolds dropped the ball twice. Gibbs is a rookie and he fumbled. Like, I think it's just like a young team, man. Like, even the coach is young, you know, like third year kind of guy.
man, all they had to do was take the points, man. Just take the. It's what I was trying to tell you in the Cowboys game. You're like, no, they're gonna go. They gotta go for it. Gotta be aggressive.
Because that's his.
And
That's
I'm
his
like,
thing.
I understand that.
That's his thing.
But oh my God, the playoffs are a different thing, man.
He doesn't have.
Like,
he
they're a
doesn't have
different
the guys
thing.
to tell him no. That's why I think it's gonna make the Lions dangerous. Is once they have an offensive coordinator and a DC or someone else, like someone
The
else.
same offensive coordinator's coming back.
If they can get
The offensive coordinator turned down the Seattle job and the Commander's job, I believe. And he decided to stay with the Lions.
All I think is what Dan Campbell needs. Dan Campbell needs a Kyle Shanahan or like an assistant head coach to be like, hey, take the field goal right now. And he'll be like, all right, you know. Remember when those old clips of Kyle
I understand
Shanahan
it, and
was
like a lot of
Browns?
analysts defend what you're saying, where it's like, oh, like be consistent. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Where Kyle just like tells, I think it's not Dan Quinn. What's his name?
He's some bum. He's a bum.
Man, but the Broncos. He's not. I don't even think he's in the league anymore.
He's definitely not.
But
He asked him like, hey, what's that?
yeah, you're talking about someone over. What's that?
Yeah, he was like, hey, should we run this? And Kyle's like, nah. He's like, what? Are you sure?
He gives him a look, right? He's
Yeah.
like, all right, call your best play.
Yeah.
And then score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Jesus, man, like having to work for a terrible boss, like personified. But like, my thing with like the Lions, it's like, bro, you have a lead. I think at that point, bro, he was up 24-3. At that point, man, like, if all you have for the rest of the game is field goals, like, you just kill us by paper cuts. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we going to come back? Control the ball, keep running it. We can't stop the run. Keep scoring field goals.
He wanted
That's all
to
you need to
demoralize
do.
us. It's because he wanted to be disrespectful, and I think that's what got our guys. That's what got Brock Purdy hot. He was like, "Oh, trying to disrespect me in my home? Nah, dot."
Bro, Brock Purdy went Super Saiyan, bro.
Bro,
Like he started scampering.
he went.
Like
He went full Steve Young, bro.
If Debo makes that,
He's in the end zone, bro.
exactly, bro. If Debo makes that block, that Brock Purdy scamper is
It's a touchdown.
on highlights forever. The way that Steve Young scamper is, I think, versus like the Vikings.
Yeah,
Where he's like, I think he's like a 50-yard run. He's like
It's an 80-yard run, bro.
Yeah, and he just like falls into the end zone like that.
Yeah,
Like that's where that Brock Purdy scamper like rates.
yeah.
Like
he just bumped into Debo.
Like, bro,
and I was
like-
oh, it's still first.
yeah,
down.
Debo like keeps blocking. That's a touchdown. And
Yeah.
that is like, and that like, there's no roof on Levi's, but we like punch a hole in the ozone for how crazy we get. You know what I'm saying? Like
We still got crazy, bro.
I couldn't even, bro. It was so insane.
had a migraine
was like,
this
he's
game.
running it now. Oh my gosh! I was like, he's gonna run it now. I was like, who is this? This is Lamar. This is MVP of the league, bro.
Yeah, this is
It's
when
crazy.
when I saw this, I was like, oh, like this is what it means. This is what makes Patrick Mahomes great. Like Patrick Mahomes isn't Superman. You know, he doesn't have to
Yeah.
be Superman. Like the way Josh Allen and Lamar and even Joe Burrow sometimes. Sometimes Joe Burrow has to be Superman. And Patrick Mahomes, thank God he has Andy Reid. Andy Reid's like, all right, I'm gonna put you in the best position to win, and then when that fails, you got it. And I feel like Kyle's almost getting there where he's calling better plays, but they're still kind of But I think Brock trusts himself where he's like, well, if anything else isn't here, I'm just gonna take it, and he did. He
Yeah,
juked guys, bro.
Andy Reid is just lucky from Andy Reid's just lucky that he found his quarterback. I think Andy Reid's been doing the same things he's been
Dude,
doing since he
Kyle's
had like
lucky he
Donovan
found his
McNabb.
quarterback, bro. Kyle wanted to
Yeah,
be
but
fired,
I would
bro.
argue
No, bro.
I'd
If we
argue that
don't Brock,
Mahomes is a better athlete.
yeah, sure. No, you're right. But Kyle doesn't draft Brock Purdy. If John Lynch doesn't call Brock Purdy's phone, bro, Kyle Shanahan is. I think he's on the hot seat, and I'm pretty sure we have a new Chip Kelly situation where you're just like, wow, you're a butt.
Yeah, I could see that version of it. It's just tough.
What, we'd be stuck with
It's
Trey
tough.
Lance right now? Trey Lance?
That's what you want. Hey, remember that's what you wanted.
Dude, that throw
We'd
was
be going
beautiful,
to
bro.
we would be
We'd be going to
we'd be
Cancun.
going through the growing pains of translating. We'd be going through the growing pains of Trey Lance.
Wow.
It would be it's Kaepernick 2.0 with less athleticism. A big arm with no touch.
Dude, it's Big Ben. He's Ben Roethlisberger.
Nah, you go watch some early Big Ben tape. Big Ben was a really good quarterback.
I'm sorry.
He's
washed Big Ben, bro.
I know the twilight of Ben's career was not great, but Trey looked like spooked. And I mean, remember, bro, we lost to the Chicago Bears, and these guys at a strip club making it rain.
Yeah, I like
Like,
that
come
Brock
on,
Purdy's
bro.
like he's all about ball. I love that.
Yeah, that's all I want, bro. Just care about ball, nothing else.
Nothing else.
Like that's all I want. Like I get it, you're a kid, you want to like do these things. Like I like to turn up and have a great time too. But like when you're losing, bro, like I don't want to see that, bro. Like you're not worried about ball. You got your money or whatever, so you're just like gonna blow it on stuff. Like to me, bro, like the more I think about that, that's just so disrespectful. Like, bro, you haven't even won a game, bro. You're celebrating a loss. Your first game as a starter, and you're celebrating a loss. Like, bro, that's weak, bro. That's super weak. Like, I'm so glad that was on my quarterback.
I think Trey Lance is just kind of lucky he's in the league, or he was lucky that his draft. I have no idea. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch that much college football that year. I have no idea how a North Dakota State quarterback draft stock went that high during the pandemic. I guess it was the pandemic, so there wasn't that much like film out there. But like the dude didn't play.
Bro, the entire class was butt.
He didn't play that much, and I was like, "How is this guy?"
That entire class was terrible, bro. The entire class was terrible.
I wish we did this podcast earlier because I really did want Justin Fields instead of Trey Lance, and I'm not saying that it's like better than the Brock Purdy situation, but Justin Fields has proven that he's a baller. At least he can ball. And
Justin Fields for sure to me is in a category where like if you get him a good situation, like I think he's better than Jalen Hurts.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's just I don't think he makes mistakes and stuff but I think the kid's a baller and he just needs he doesn't need a utopia like some other quarterbacks like the Jimmy G's or the Kirks or I don't even know who else.
I'm really curious what Kyle didn't like about him. Yeah. That's interesting.
Justin Fields,
but finishing up on this Lions.
On the Lions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think he just didn't want another RG3.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I'd have to watch more Fields tape. I feel like I can't tell if he's an accurate passer or not because that Chicago offense is just so bad. But I'll be curious to see what happens in Chicago. I haven't seen what moves they've made this offseason in terms of coaching or staff. But I feel like I don't want to give up on Justin Fields just yet.
No, I definitely don't either. They need to extend him.
Like I wouldn't get rid of Justin Fields to get like Caleb Williams. I would use all my picks to actually like build an offense and a defense, and get a coordinator in there to put a good scheme up, and then like compete that way. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that team has so many holes that I don't think that a quarterback's going to fix it. But again, maybe this is where I'm wrong. Maybe this is where like, oh well, if he had Mahomes, then it doesn't matter what you have. But it's like very rarely can you do what Mahomes is doing today as a rookie, Yeah, and I think that's kind of what like every time people are talking about the draft and people coming out of college,
Well,
that's kind of where I get hung up
Mahomes
on. It's
didn't do
like you
that as a
want.
rookie either, though. Like he went into that Chiefs
I
team and
know,
he
I know,
was
but
he
it's
was
like
loaded.
it's kind of what I was trying to tell you though. It's like when we were drafting and like, oh, we passed on Mahomes, and I was like, we had no team, like we had no offense, we had no lines,
Yeah.
like we had no defensive line, we had no offensive line, we had no protection for this guy, and this is the argument that I was making back, even for like Alex Smith and Aaron
Nah, I
Rodgers,
think you're
like
wrong there.
we
You're for sure wrong.
you can think that, but let me just finish my argument. It's like go watch Alex Smith at Utah under Urban Meyer, the Urban Meyer that ended up going to Ohio State. Okay, and Alex Smith was running and tossing the ball all over the field, right? Like setting records and what have you. And we bring him to the Niners with no team around him, and what happens? He gets sacked. I think we tear his rotator cuff or break his arm or some crazy clavicle, whatever injury he has. And within the first 5 years, he has a series of injuries and then a series of different coaches. You know what I'm saying? And like my argument is, if you throw any quarterback in that situation, the way that Justin Fields is today, right? It's like you limit and you stunt their potential growth. And like I would say, okay, maybe Mahomes in the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era, maybe he can survive the first couple of years as they figure out and build a team. But it's like, what if he doesn't? What if he gets hurt, right? What if he runs into the ground? I mean, we even kind of saw that with Kaepernick, right before we got Kaepernick. I think Kaepernick was still around when we hired John and Kyle, and ultimately they cut him, right?
Yeah,
But it's like you kind of saw that in that was it Chip Kelly year right before, where it's like Chip Kelly kind of put in the offense, and maybe like the first game, like Kaepernick was like kind of going through his reads and like getting the ball out quick, and it was nice, and then he got hurt, and then that was kind of the end of that story. And I'm just like, it's hard because what you're expecting is that these quarterbacks are going to behave the way that Mahomes is behaving this season with this Chiefs team, where it's like, hey, doesn't have a lot of talent on offense outside of the Hall of Famer Travis Kelce at tight end, right? But Mahomes is so good that he's just going to execute the game plan and move the ball up and down the field and score. It's like it's very hard for a quarterback out of college to come out and do that.
yeah, it's almost impossible.
And I feel like, hey, maybe Justin Fields could be Mahomes if he would have came onto a AFC Championship caliber team, which is what Mahomes did.
Yeah.
Alex Smith had that team in the AFC Championship.
Yeah,
that team could have been a Super Bowl caliber team during that Alex Smith season if they don't lose to the Colts, I believe, or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like the roster was already there, and that's what Mahomes inherited. I want to say it's the Colts, but I could be wrong.
I thought he got beat by Peyton.
Honestly, I don't remember. You could be right, but I mean, I think Alex Smith had 2 bad playoff losses with the Chiefs. But my point being that like that Chiefs roster, it wasn't terrible, and so Mahomes comes into a great situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and kind of the same way that that Brady kind of comes into a pretty good situation. But like it wasn't a bad team, right? And so it's like to me, like with Brock, he gets also that benefit, which is why I think he has to pay the toll of not being considered elite and like all this great stuff, all the stuff that's withheld from good players. But clearly he's better than someone like a Jimmy G because he's executing the playbook and what he's being asked to do at a really high level. And even when things aren't working in the second half, he finds a way to make it work in a second. And I think that's something that's not you can't just assume that people can do that.
No, I think you're right. That Kyle just kind of, I think the expectations are just kind of crazy, and I think the media's expectations are kind of crazy. For our quarterback as well. But I have said this before, and this is why I don't like Kyle Shanahan because he doesn't put the team or the players in the best position to win. That's what's kind of frustrating, and I can see it. Like I can see us not running JP Mason. I'm like, hey, why aren't we running JP Mason? And then, like I texted you this week, I was like, we're gonna hand the ball off to JP Mason in the Super Bowl, and he's gonna fumble. You know why? Because he hasn't carried the ball in 3 weeks. It's gonna be weird. And you're like, oh, and then everyone's gonna hate JP Mason, but like, dude hasn't touched ball in so long. And I'm like, well, this is your fault for not keeping your running back, who's a workhorse, fresh. And Kyle Shanahan just has these kind of simple coaching mistakes that he hasn't been able to overcome. And luckily that he's had a cool and calm, collected quarterback at Brock Purdy to be like, hey, I got it. Like, it'll be handled. Because Kyle is very emotional, and I don't think a lot of quarterbacks could handle that. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo could. Even though he was also cool, I think Jimmy, as soon as he threw a pick, it'd be rattled, or it'd be kind of the dynamic would kind of change. But also things weren't expected of Jimmy like this. You know, he was the number two guy. We were just kind of happy to have him, and he kind of knew.
Yeah, Jimmy was great before he got hurt. I mean, I think once he got hurt, he lost an asset to his game that is needed to like extend plays, and so it just kind of made it really hard. And I think Kyle just the type of play calling that he calls in the passing game is just a little bit more complex. That the way he structures his line isn't built to give the quarterback time. It's built for the quarterback to like adjust protections and then maybe create some space and some time for him to make throws. And so once he blew out that knee and wasn't able to extend plays on his own, it was basically like the curtains were closing on Jimmy. I think if you go back and watch this game, Purdy escapes quite a bit in this game to make plays happen. And if he were to just be expected to sit in the pocket and make the throws, Purdy's getting sacked.
Yep.
So I think our concern will be if and when Purdy gets hurt, because Kyle is going to refuse to put together a line to protect him. How is Purdy going to be able to still compete and perform the way he's doing today? Because we basically won this last game due to Purdy's ability to move and escape the pocket.
Yep.
Once he loses that, we're back at square one.
Yeah, and I think that's what's been missing for this offense the entire year was the unscripted. You know what I felt this weekend and about this team kind of this whole year. I've been thinking about it. Brock Purdy for us is what Russell Wilson wishes he was. You know, Russell Wilson, after seeing those scrambles and like the dimes and even how the team plays, even and with Kyle Shanahan's scheme of passing the ball, we have finally been able to execute the secondary play. You know, even on the off schedules, like, all right, off schedule throw, okay, we're gonna pass it or like first read's not there, we're gonna check it down, and there's a guy blocking right in front of you, and you're like, what? This reminds me of
I guess I'll take offense to what you're saying, because I don't think Russell Wilson ever had this caliber of talent on offense.
What?
Yeah.
Potential Hall of Famer Marshawn Lynch?
Okay, Marshawn Lynch, I'll give you that.
Doug Baldwin?
But I would say
Ricardo Lockett?
Yeah, Doug Baldwin. I don't think Doug Baldwin or Ricardo Lockett are
didn't he have Jimmy Graham?
Yep, Jimmy Graham.
You're tripping. That offense is loaded.
Jimmy Graham, bro, on the Seahawks was not great. He was not what he was in the Saints. That wasn't the same guy. And I would not say that Doug Baldwin is like Debo. I would say maybe when he had like Golden Tate was a really good receiver. You have to watch it again, bro. It was not. I feel like Russell was making them great rather than those players being great. Where I feel like Debo was great regardless of what quarterback is out there.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think Debo is great, and I think McCaffrey is also great. And Ayuk's, he's a great receiver as well. But this
I would even say that I think Russell Wilson made Marshawn Lynch worse.
What?
Yeah, bro.
I don't think you can say that, but okay. How?
I think if Russell Wilson just hands the ball off to Marshawn Lynch is the MVP of the Super Bowl, and he's a legend forever.
I think
Russell Wilson.
Russell
Wilson took that for that. Marshawn had the beastquake, and then Russell Wilson came to the team and then ruined his career. That's my stance. My stance is that Russell Wilson ruined Marshawn Lynch's career. I'm wrong?
No, yeah, he kind of took him out of he let him. He kind of underutilized him in his prime when he.
Yeah, they won a Super Bowl because of their defense.
Yeah.
And then when it was time to opt for the offense to win the Super Bowl, instead of Russell Wilson giving it to Marshawn Lynch, who was averaging like 4.6 yards a carry, he decided to throw it and ruin Marshawn Lynch's career.
Yeah, which isn't gonna make me as mad about this team because we have been running the ball well with McCaffrey in the red zone. But McCaffrey hasn't been the best running back. I don't think he's averaging 4 yards a carry. If I'm wrong.
Because our run scheme is butt.
Yeah, it is really.
Our run scheme is butt. Like we're not resting and it's what you were saying earlier about Mason. It's like I think we're spamming these guys, and it's like you need to have a better run scheme and a better run rotation.
Yeah,
Because I mean, clearly, like you said, even when I think there was that play when Eli scored, right? Like I think CMC gets us down there, and then I think he must have like pulled something or something came up because he took himself out of the game,
yeah, he did.
right? And I think that's kind of like that's one thing that I think I'm annoyed with Kyle too is like I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what the rotations are. I don't know how things are negotiated, but it's like sometimes you gotta pull the reins on the guy, you know,
Also,
and
sorry,
like put the guy in it just to spell him.
quick sorry to Christian McCaffrey. He's averaging 5.4 yards this year. He's a beast. I was talking mess, but we are getting stuffed at the line too much, and it's kind of making.
I know what you're saying though, but it's like because I feel like he has so many attempts that he'll break one and it kind of fix the averages up. But I feel like what you were trying to say was like I feel like there could be more effort on some of his runs, or
Yeah.
like maybe if he wasn't being used every single play, like he'd have more burst. Like it's really strange to me that in 2024, Kyle has gone back to like the every down back like philosophy of running.
Yeah,
Where like
but
a couple seasons ago, where we had Raheem and Breida, and you know that and Jeff Wilson, it's like there was such a nice healthy rotation there that he was getting the most out of all his running backs, and I feel like he's not getting the most out of all his running backs here.
I think.
And the
Kyle's
reason
tired
why
of
it's
losing.
annoying to me, I get that, man, but like, bro, like you're losing some opportunities to maybe like you know how like Kyle discovering Debo in the backfield was kind of like a revelation to him, and
Yeah.
now he can't like stop running it every other game. It's like, what if he discovers something like that with CMC at the slot position? Like, what if CMC is like Wes Welker in the slot? You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, and then it takes away.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, but I I can't explain what Kyle is thinking. I have no idea.
but you know what I'm saying though.
He
Like
is
what
really
has Kyle?
he
Kyle
is really
hasn't
good.
he hasn't innovated anything this season. Like what about like his offense has been not great, but it's just been getting executed when it like needs to be executed, which
Well,
is great. And I guess like I'm nitpicking, but like I feel like in years past, every season like he's innovated something on his offense. First, he was doing a great run rotation with those three backs I mentioned, right? Consistent play action pass, you know, deep passes to Kittle, right? Like a lot more catching and passing to Kittle. And then he discovers the next season or something, Debo. And Debo basically puts the team on his back. And if it isn't for us not having a right guard to block Aaron Jones, like we go back to the Super Bowl, right? Or Jaworski Tart not dropping the pick.
yeah. What? I
But
was
it's
like, bro,
like,
it's
but it's
Jacob Tart's fault. We're not in the Super Bowl and we win against Joe
it's
B.
all their faults, bro. Come on, like we have no blocking. I
They
put that
made my
on
boy
Kyle.
cry. I was
But
kind
like
of
my,
mad that year.
but it's like, bro, like okay, but he discovered that he had Debo and was able to use them, right? And like it's what we were saying. It's like, oh well, now you have superstars, so you're just gonna be kind of lazy about how you use them. I'm like, I think he could be doing more with CMC, like not just in the running game.
Well,
You know what I'm
look
saying?
at the pattern
And
that
like,
he has. Like he has never gone back and used an old move. You know, like he's like we haven't seen that much of Debo in the backfield running for averaging 9 yards a carry. You know, like running in the snow, or we haven't seen like
we've seen a little bit of it, but it's
we
like I
haven't
don't think
seen the
it
running
does
back
affect him anymore
carousel.
because they keep like he's doing that weird stuff where he has like that split back thing where he has like somebody line up 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and get a running start. Like
Bruh,
I don't
you
understand that
know
formation. It
exactly
feels so
what
dumb.
you know exactly who freaking Kyle Shanahan is, bruh. He's Goku, bro. You know how Goku all of a sudden just loses all his powers, and you're like, hey, bro, couldn't you like talk to people and like talk in their minds and stuff from super far away? He's like, nah, I can't do that no more. All I know is super big
Oh
Kamehameha.
yeah, yeah.
He's like, I don't know, I'm just really big Kamehameha guy now, and you're just like, what? You're like, what? What happened to this move? And you're like, well, I just do this now, and I go and I go Ultra Instinct. I don't need that move anymore. And you're like, but like, this and this would be so amazing. Like, why don't you do that? And he's like, nah, my hair's white. You're like, all right. I guess you're just Goku now, and you're just like looking for the new transformation. I don't know what it is. I can't explain what's inside the mind of a great Kyle Shanahan, but I think you're right, and I totally agree with you that we still have the tools to hit all of those moves that he had, all those specials, and we've really like drawn away from it, and it's been making me feel a lot more uncertain of like where the team is going and how it's going.
Yeah, like I have no confidence, bro, in his scheme. I just feel like, yeah, the talent's good enough that they're gonna overcome him. But it's clear to me that like his scheme and like his game playing in the first half is just like
Oh
it's not
no,
worked.
no,
Like
I
like
believe
the
in Brock Purdy,
defense, the
bro.
defensive coordinator is like the defensive coordinator of the other team is like ready for it and has like something for him. And I think that's what I'm kind of concerned about. Is like he's supposed to be this like whiz like savant guy, and it's like I feel about him the way I was feeling in this Ravens Chiefs game, where it's like 3rd and 1, and instead of like using the rushing attack that you've used all season, that was like
Gus the
averaging like 6
Bus.
yards a carry, they decide to like throw the ball, and then it's 4th and 3, and they have to go for it, and they're on their own 30, and I'm just like, that felt like Kyle Shanahan to me. It's like you have all this talent, and you're doing cute stuff when you should be doing the things that are easy,
Yeah, Mike
and I don't know,
Shanahan
and
better
I
be
know
on the
that getting
sideline, bro.
points, right, and I get that nothing in the league is easy, but it's like I'm not even seeing the attempts to run the ball, Like if I don't see us try to run at Chris Jones to tire him out, and the answers are, oh, because he's Chris Jones, like we can't run on him. I was like, don't tell me that. Show me that we can't run on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Show me that he's stuffing these runs in the backfield.
yeah,
Because if he's not, we should be running right at him.
yeah. No, no, I completely agree with you. I think we talked about this last time where Kyle Shanahan just doesn't have the balls to do things like that. And when he does all of a sudden have the balls, I think it comes from a place of passion and emotion, and it's honestly the wrong decision to make. Um, I think we need to reach out to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers and actually get our guy a nice therapist so he can,
I told you, bro.
develop.
Yes, I want the therapist that Ron Artest, aka Meta World Peace, had when he was with the Lakers and Kobe passed him the ball and he drained that shot in the championship game. That's what I need Kyle Shanahan to do. I need him to like focus in on this game. I need him to like. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is the type of coach that like benefits from doing less work.
Yeah,
I feel like that guy right now is probably killing himself in the office, like not sleeping, not resting, going over every detail. And I think what Kyle Shanahan really needs to do, he needs to go to like Thailand and just go on a bender and like relax, and then come back to work like Saturday or something, and then just hit the ground running for the rest of the week.
bro. That's what
Because it's
That's what
like,
the great Aaron Rodgers did, bro. Ayahuasca man. My boy just did ayahuasca and then almost became MVP on them again. And I was like, wow, all right, bro. That's what you got to do.
yeah, get Kyle on that. And I mean, one thing I will say about Kyle though and John that I do appreciate, and what kind of like makes me not hate on as much, is like even little stuff coming out, like that story about them trying to get Brady this offseason while Purdy was hurt. I'm like, every season that I've seen these guys together, they're always trying to get better. Whether it's trying to get Brady, whether it's trying to get Brady from the Bucks or Brady from the Chiefs, or I'm sorry, Brady from the Patriots or Brady from like retirement. I try to go after Brady like 3 times, or they try to go after Aaron Rodgers right before he even becomes the MVP that one other season. And so it's like we never get to see those back like channel like moves and stuff. So I do appreciate that he's trying, but it's just like it's just been crazy to me that this season I feel like Kyle Shanahan's more in the way than his quarterback is.
Yeah, I think that I think you're completely right, but I also don't. I also think this is typical Kyle Shanahan stuff. I think he was in his way on the Falcons too, and I don't know why
That's fair.
no one told them to stop and just run the ball with who's back there, Devontae
Well,
Freeman or
that's kind
something.
of what I'm surprised about too. It's like with they had a Jaquise Rogers, they had
Oh,
Tevin Coleman,
oh,
they had a good backs.
yeah,
Yeah, no, they chunked it. I think they were getting stuffed. I think there was it wasn't just that they weren't running. I think the runs that they were having were getting stuffed. That next time I was telling you, I was like, I'd love to have a Bill check like defense. Like Kyle allegedly reached out to Bill after the game and was like, how did you do this? And it's like it wasn't just Kyle. Like if you remember, like Bill also just took big baby dumps on Sean McVay's offense,
yeah.
which is very much like Kyle-esque.
Hmm.
And so like Belichick knows how to defeat that thing. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I'd really like to see how Bill could like break or challenge Kyle's offensive scheme because he clearly has an answer for it.
Yeah, that's what I would love. I would love to have. I think you're right. I think I don't want to talk about the off season, but having a Belichick as a defensive coordinator would do
For a
wonders.
consultant or something, it's all saying like, oh, bring his son in, and then we'll pay him his daddy as a
But
consultant
but again, this
because
is
I feel
Kyle
like the
Shanahan doesn't
offense
want
is
that.
just not working.
Like I don't think Kyle Shanahan likes being challenged at all ever. I think that's why you don't like. I think that's why. I mean, I made the argument like, wow, why couldn't we block Bob Sala and D'Amico? And you're like, no, well, they kind of overstayed their welcome, and like they're bound to get those deals and stuff.
I don't think it's overstaying their welcome. I think what it is, it's hard to be like, it's a philosophy. It's hard to go work at a place that's not going to allow you to grow and be like the best you can be.
But it's
Right? So
BS
it's a
though,
double-edged
bruh,
sword.
because
But
his defense
you're
was
saying,
not
but it's
his
like, bro,
offense
we
wasn't
had,
matching that defense at all, and now we have a bad defense, and he's like, well, I'm gonna be number one now, and you're like, what? With Mr. Irrelevant? Like, how? Like, how is this acceptable, bro?
but I think some of these things are out of his control because, like, for example, McDaniels, he did block McDaniels from interviewing that first year. The first year that, like, after we went, like, he's had
Yeah,
McDaniels with him for years.
yeah,
And he was like telling him not to and like blocking him for a bit, like not letting people interview with him and stuff.
yeah.
Until like he was also like trying to put his guys in good places.
No,
So that
and all
I
these
think
guys
like
deserve
I
their
forget
jobs
what
and stuff.
teams
They're
are like,
great.
right. And so I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like I just don't think it's. I don't like. I agree with what you're saying because I'm a Niner fan and I want us to have the best coaches and the best everything all the time. But it's. I have to also be realistic. The fact that these are generational like changing like career choices. Like to become a head coach and to get, what I don't know what it is now, but like 25 million over 5 years or what have you, like that's a great deal.
Mhm.
And Kyle's now done it for three guys. Like in addition to me, when you say, oh, what is it, three NFC championships in 5 years or whatever, I would also include three head coaches from his staff.
Yep.
Like that to me, like I get it. You can't win a Super Bowl every season, but like when you're looking for reasons to like pick teams to be fans of, right? You think about like, okay, like what's a city, right? Like, do I live there or have I lived there? Do I have an affinity to a city? Right? Like, oh, okay, like well, who's the coach, right? Who's on it? How do they do things, right? Like, who are the players, right? What's the rosters look like? And this organization, like, everything they do is like B plus or higher. Like
That's valid.
the ownership now like keeps their mouth shut. The coaching stuff like we know like multiple positions across like different like personnel like level coaches. The roster has like 7+ Pro Bowlers. Like this team's always in a championship game, even when it's hurt or injured or not doing well in the season. Like it has a lot of heart and a lot of character. Like to me, like in the night as a Niner fan, we haven't really had reasons to like put bags over our heads and like do stuff like that, like during the Kyle Shanahan tenure.
No,
And to me, like I know that might feel like a low bar,
I mean,
but
we
it
went
does
two
mean
and
something.
12 or something. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, but wasn't that his first year? Or was that the Jimmy injury year?
No, that was his first year. Yeah, yeah,
Like
you're right. It was
yeah. So
expected.
and I'll say I don't say it's okay, but what I'm getting at is like I do think it is impressive to let's say when you think about that season with like C.J. Beathard, Hoyer, and Sean Drawn and a ragtag group of like players.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To then go to this, where like even Robert Sala's first season, I remember you wanting him to get fired because he couldn't stop the run. You know, and that's kind
But
of where I'm at with Wilkes. I was like, oh,
we have to
maybe
force
Wilkes is in his
Buckner.
Robert Sala.
No, but that's
I
unacceptable, bro.
understand.
He had to no, it's okay. I think Wilkes is
It's
preposterous.
unacceptable now too.
No.
It's unacceptable the same
Okay,
way.
Robert Saleh didn't have as good as a defense assist. That's we had Chris Borland back there, bro. That's total BS. But like,
Look at Chris Nomer's numbers, bro. Chris Bowen's numbers were not bad. And these guys were getting ran on at the defensive line, bro. That's not on linebackers. That's on your tackles.
I don't know, man.
Armstead and Buckner were getting pushed off their blocks.
Yeah, but there were also rookies. Okay, now we have literally a $1 billion D line. That D line was like $500K, bro. This is $1 billion D line. I don't see what, like, I think we were talking about this last week. We were like, man, I'm kind of sad because because Wilkes isn't getting any calls from anywhere, you know, and like we can't get rid of this guy.
I know.
And I was like, yeah, bro, like that's what you get for that. That's what we get for getting ring chasers, because that's what he's doing. He's like, not actually, no, I'm sorry, he's a check chaser. I'm like, that's what we get. He's trying to get a check, and he fell off. If we wanted a guy who was a winner, like I think Bob Sala and D'Amico are like, yeah, like that we get some winners. I mean, D'Amico went to the playoffs in his first year. Like that's dope. Like he really wants to
Yep.
win. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt, like who knows where that Jets team's going? Like I had high hopes for that Jets team. And this
Same.
this Wilkes guy, everywhere he's been, like has been really meh, you know. And so I was like, I never understood why we got him. And I wouldn't understand why John Lynch wants to keep him after this. I think it's okay if we want to move on and still have him on the payroll. We've had worse on the payroll. I think, are we still paying Chip Kelly? Probably. I don't know. That guy's probably.
I have to look into it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It's probably a lifetime deal, because Jed York is done. But I wouldn't be mind if we want to move on from Steve Wilkes, and I would love to have a Mike Rabel defensive coordinator if he doesn't get a shot anywhere, and come and fortify this D-line, because I think it has.
Where's he gonna get a shot at? I think the jobs are done. What head coaching positions open yet?
So the Falcons got full. Oh yeah, the Seahawks are full. I think you're right. I think all the head coaches are done. Well, if he doesn't get a shot at DC anywhere else that he wants to go, like I think the Commanders would be a cool job for him. Maybe the Chargers, something like that. You know, I think I really need us to win the Super Bowl to, you know, be able to get some guys back and run it back again. I don't want to talk about this right now. I think our mind has to be on let's go beat this Chiefs team once and for all, and let's get to 6.
Once and for all, nah. We're just getting started, bro. We're just getting started. We gotta beat the Chiefs to get on the board, bro. Right now they're stunting on us.
Yeah, you're right.
We gotta get on the board so we can start talking about going back to back. Those are the problems that I want to have.
What is the main strategy you think the 49ers have to do to beat this Chiefs team?
Okay, what I want us to do that I know we're not going to do is I want us to run the ball and stop the run. On offense, we got to be able to get our running backs going. I think we got to get them going. Like, I think the outside zone game is going to be really crucial. I think Chris Jones is going to be plugging things up in the middle, and I think the more that we can spread the field, the better. Their corners are really good. I was watching them run the stop. I think what's his name? Eric Reed's little brother.
Justin Reed.
Justin out there is like he's looking really good. Snead's looking really good. Their corners can tackle. So I think getting the running game going early so that they have to kind of commit and drop down will hopefully open up things over the top. I think Ayuk needs to have another big game. I don't think that the cutesy Debo running stuff's going to work. But I think we need to do everything we can to kind of bring the corners down and kind of make them start kind of moving laterally on offense. On defense, like I mentioned, we need to be able to stop the run. Stopping Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a must. I think we need to continuously put them into third and long positions. In this, I was watching that Ravens game, and obviously Mahomes is able to convert, but getting them to contain, and I think it's just tough because that Ravens defense was really good.
Yeah.
And Mahomes still cracked the key. But what I did see that the Ravens defense was doing, they were committing a lot of like silly penalties and being undisciplined. And so, so in the taunting, there was like some offside stuff. There was some roughing the passer stuff. There was like some just lack of discipline things. And
team, man.
But they were the number one defense. It's unacceptable. So I think we have to make sure that, you know, we play like a really sound game, just do our best to contain him. Like he's going to score, right? I think we just have to make sure that, we don't get beat up with explosives and they have to earn it. And when I say earn it, they have to earn it with like more than 8 plays. None of this like 3-play score thing that the Lions did. Because if they're scoring under 5 plays on us, our defense is just not going to have a chance. and our offense is gonna it's gonna get like tired out.
Yeah.
That's kind of what was happening to us in Detroit.
Yep.
And and if we can't stop the run, then it doesn't even matter what we're saying now because they're just gonna run all over us. They won't stop. Andy Reid is not Dan Campbell, and he's not gonna lay off the run game. He's gonna keep going if we can't stop it.
Oh, Andy Reid's he wants to go back to back really bad. I could see it. He wants to be better than Bill Walsh, and I think he's on the way.
He wants to pass Belichick. I think he's like six or seven wins away in the playoffs from Bill Belichick. That's what I was telling you like a while ago. I was like, in 10 years, how will they look at Andy Reid versus Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, my next question is interesting. Since we're in the Super Bowl, in our last Super Bowl, we saw with Kyle Shanahan, we saw some ridiculous things, like the George Kittle tight end screen before the first half. What do you think is this this Super Bowl run's crazy cute play? I'll go first. So to give
I think it's going to be. Yeah, go ahead. I have one, but go ahead.
I think it'll be a Christian McCaffrey throw, like we saw against the Rams when he when he got the triple crown or the trifecta on him. I think he's gonna throw it to Debo or someone like that. Is that exactly what you're thinking?
Yeah, my difference was gonna be he's gonna throw it to Brock Purdy.
We're gonna get a Philly special.
Yep.
For Philly.
Yep.
Ah, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Philly's gonna get a shout out in the Super Bowl, or it's gonna be I think it's gonna be CMC to like Trent Williams or something. You remember that Jags game like last season or something when they pulled Trent like on an over route or something?
Yeah, he was a receiver.
And Trent almost had it.
Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna do something like that with Trent.
Oh no. Oh man. What a way to
Yeah.
That we're gonna end it on that. That was lit. We'll potentially talk to you guys next week pre Super Bowl if we get a chance. But if not, we will talk to you guys after the Super Bowl. The Niners are back. Finally. The 49ers
Let's get it.
are back in the Super Bowl. All right, guys. Peace.
One more game, baby. Let's get it.
6, baby, 6.